Hey, I'm still scouting out space. I was across the street here looking at the old location of the office, wondering if maybe we'd be able to rebuild, but I don't know. But that notwithstanding, welcome to Season 3, Episode 15 of Niagara 411 Live with Sterry. That would be me. We are fueled by Gales Gas Bars, supported by Performance Heating and Air, as well as Verge Insurance Group, and powered by WeeStreem, Canada's first and foremost streaming company. And we are headed in here to Fiddler's Poorhouse, as per usual, our gracious hosts every week for Niagara 411 Live with Lee. And what happened to the Santa Ana winds of this morning? Holy cow, it's gotten cold. So let's go in and get a little warmer. We have a really cool show coming up for you today. Darcy Patrick, one of my, actually I'm going to call him one of my heroes, and I'll explain to you why I refer to him that way when we introduce him. Also, we're going to talk about the Scow in the river that's been there since 1918. Jim Hill is going to be joining us from the Niagara Parks Commission because it appears there's finally some movement going on there. We're going to talk about a great show coming to the Meridian Centre and a bunch of other things. So listen, 30 seconds away, stick around, and we have something cool for you to win too. We'll tell you about that when we come back. We are back. Hey, welcome back into the ye old programming here. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, Kevin Jack on the right-hand side of your screen, executive producer of this here program, as well as co-founder of WeeStreem. We'll have a chance to talk about his company a little bit through the show as well. Getting busy now and just gobbling up clients all over the place, which is just super. And the technology you're witnessing right now is as a result of everything that WeeStreem does. And we put it up against any of your national or international news and or broadcast programs or networks because of the quality, the consistency, and well, just because it's darn good. Anyway, we'll talk more about that later. Without further ado, I mentioned we'd give you a chance to to win something. Well, we don't normally do this on the program, but this is a first, and this is very easy for you to do. It's all courtesy of Clover Therapeutics in Niagara Falls. You see the site there on the little phone, and all you have to do to enter yourself in the draw to win a half-hour massage from Clover Therapeutics and Wellness Center is to share this post. Very simple. You're watching the feed already. All you have to do is click share, poof, and you're in the draw. All right. And then we'll, for everybody that shared it, and we have that data. For everybody that shared the post, we'll make a random draw after the show and post the winner, and we'll let you know if you're it. All right. So anytime during the show, you can hit the share button, and here we are. Kevin, interesting week. There continues to be, we're not going to spend a lot of time on this because God knows we spent enough time in the last 2 years on it. There continues to be question marks surrounding COVID-19. Like if you were to put COVID-19 and then the Niagara region logo, there'd be question marks all around it. That would sort of be how you would sum up our situation here in Niagara, because Dr. Hergy, acting medical officer of health, again, has said we may have to step outside the provincial mandates if the province doesn't do something that we need to follow. All right, the here we go again thing kicks in. So right now, though, cooler heads are prevailing, and we are living our lives as close to normal as we possibly can. And I see people wearing masks, and that's fine. If they feel more comfortable in certain settings, it doesn't bother me. I don't care if they wear a mask. I don't care if they wear a suit of armor. It is of no import to me. So, and I will do what I want to do. You'll do what you'll want to do. The Mayor John Tory tested positive for COVID yesterday. He's isolating. So everybody's going to get it sooner or later, probably anyway. So there are some other things that we'll bring up that caught our attention over the course of the week. One of them I may or may not talk about because Kevin may just explode, and I don't want to do him any harm. And while we're talking about harm, mental health is a huge, huge, huge issue globally. And we're going to have a gentleman on the program today whom I met because of that topic. His name is Darcy Patrick. Many years ago, he was actually standing on a bridge, waiting to jump. He managed to talk himself off that bridge. And this isn't a metaphor. This is actual fact. He managed to talk himself off that bridge. He sought help, got it, and completely reformed his life. He became an author, speaker, a mental health advocate, facilitator, instructor. I call him one of my heroes because I've never known a stronger person than Darcy Patrick. Heroes come in all shapes and sizes and from all kinds of different walks of life, and Darcy's one of mine. But he's in my news, on my news cycle today for something completely different. Just when his life was going absolutely perfectly, the happiest he'd ever been in his life, he had horrible, horrible back pain and has gone through an ordeal with the Niagara Health System that was horrific for him. Thank goodness he seems to have come out on the other side of it, but we'll get his story when he joins us at about 12:15 or 12:20 today. 12:45-ish, Jim Hill is going to be joining us. Ah, yes, the wonderful Scow story that still resides in the upper rapids or upper rapids, if you will, of the Niagara River, just above the brink of the falls between Chippewa and Niagara Falls. And yes, I know Chippewa is part of Niagara Falls, but you know what I mean for the locals. Okay, so the Scow that's been there since 1918 is apparently shifting. There have been some pieces we hear broken off, and I think it's probably only a matter of time until there's not enough weight to hold it in place, and it's going over the brink. That's my own opinion, but Jim Hill is Senior Manager of Heritage with the Niagara Parks Commission, and he is going to be joining us, I think, from the river, actually, to talk about the Scow story. Man, I still get tingles up and down my spine when I think of that story. And you may have recognized the name Hill, because I'm not sure what Jim's association is, if there is one, with the famous Red Hill and his family that were the River Daredevils, if you will. And Red Hill and assistants actually got the people off of that Scow, that fateful Halloween night in 1918. Or was it Halloween when it moved? Anyway, we'll find out. Jim's going to be joining us about 1:45, 20 to 1, somewhere in there. All right? I'm really looking forward to this one because it's fascinated me ever since I was a toddler. Coming up at a little after 1 o'clock is Meilleur. She is the Director of Marketing at the Meridian Centre. And it's kind of cool that the famous acrobat dance troupe, hard to describe what Cirque du Soleil does. We'll call them acrobatics for the lack of a better way to put it. But Canada's only stop for Cirque du Soleil show called Crystal is going to be here in St. Catharines at the Meridian Centre. So that's kind of cool. We'll have Kay on to talk about that. And we're going to have a show on, when we do our show on the 20th of June, I think it is. We're going to, or 26th of June. What is it, Kevin? 26th?
16th.
Oh, yeah, you thought it was the 9th and we went to, 16th of June. Okay, wanted to clarify that. It's a Kiwanis Club fundraiser, and we're going to be joined by a Kiwanis Club member after 1 o'clock today, Len Bates. He'll be cluing in, because we're going to do that together here at Fiddler's Poorhouse. I want to once again say thanks to Nick, hi to Nick's mom, for partnering with us on this initiative, Niagara 411 Live, that continues to rack up some wonderful numbers as far as viewership, and we thank you for that. Kevin, I do want to go back to last week just for a little bit. I mean, there's no sense in rehashing the whole story because everybody's pretty much familiar with it, judging by the amount of comments that were out there about the Burks being suspended from being around the OHL till 2004, or 2024, excuse me, and being fined $1,500 by the league. $150,000. Why am I forgetting decimal points today? I don't know. $150,000 by the league for the comments that they made in what was supposed to be private, but that's really irrelevant, conversation. Nevertheless, what I wanted to mention is the fact that the Niagara residents did two things. They seem to support the decision of the Ontario Hockey League, because the comments that were on the page about this story certainly were supportive of the actions taken by the league, and were not supportive pretty much in any way of the Burks' position on this incident. So that was the one thing. The other thing, Kevin, that I was heartened to see is the fact that it did not appear to harm the players, in that the fans still showed up at the Meridian Centre to watch their next game. It was almost a capacity crowd. I think there was like 4,800 plus people there, which is good. It's great, because that means the players aren't getting penalized. They still have their fans. They still know that the community supports the players and supports the team and and their careers, which is a great thing. Yeah. So still a crappy situation, and
I mean, Lee, here you have 574 comments on Niagara 411, and about 90% of them, I'll say either negative or in support of the OHL.
Absolutely.
Against the ownership group of the Burks.
Yeah.
I mean, we did it live here on the program last year. I would have to say that the apology, coupled with the leaked transcript, that was the worst thing.
Yeah.
The crime was bad. Their attempt at an apology was even worse. And I think that's what prompted the mass leak of everything. And I mean, here is the apology, and I can't remember. I mean, they went out of their way to point out in their apology that it wasn't racist. Well, what does that matter when you drop the C word twice and you use a homophobic slur against somebody else? They go out of their way in their apology to say that it wasn't directed towards any staff member.
Well,
there's a staff member
that's not true.
There's a staff member named Nikki that works for you, and you used the C word to describe her.
Yeah.
You also called your scouting staff a bunch of F words. So it was directed at individuals. The apology was almost worse than the crime.
Well,
it made me think, as a family member, I can no longer support that ownership group. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to the players. I love hockey. I love high-level hockey. But you know what? I can go watch the Junior B Falcons just as easily. I can go watch the Niagara Ice Dogs. Yeah. And as long as they're at the top of the pyramid, I can't bring my wife and my daughter there. I can't.
I do not believe that this is anywhere near close to being resolved. The concept of something being a private conversation is irrelevant, because these kinds of expressions should never be used even in private conversations. It was on a social media app. I think it was through the WhatsApp app, and that apology is worded as if nobody's ever going to really find out what was actually said. But we all know that that's not going to happen. Now everybody knows what was actually said. So how lame does that apology seem now? Because it's under any circumstances, that's not acceptable. Any circumstances.
To try and even pretend, and again, in their apology, it wasn't racist. Well, no, it wasn't, but it was homophobic and misogynistic. So you just left those out?
Yeah.
It wasn't directed at any individual. Yes, it was. There were actually names in there. You named people specifically and used slurs against them.
Racism wasn't the issue.
No.
No.
And then, it's a private conversation. Apparently you don't know what a private conversation is. You're using WhatsApp for official business. Whether it's WhatsApp, whether it's a text message, whether it's email, it's all the same.
In order for something to be a real private conversation, you better be having it in a closet with your wife at home with no phones in the room.
And then if somebody bugs your closet, then it was a private conversation that was leaked. If this is a conversation that has multiple staff members in there, I guarantee you if you scroll through there was official business being conducted through WhatsApp saying, hey, can you complete that report? Hey, what's the progress on this? That's not a private conversation.
I repeat a mantra that I've lived with in business for many, many years, and that is the very moment that you agree that you are going to involve family members as a group in your business, you have now a heightened sense of responsibility. You better be paying attention to what people say, because family members are used to talking in certain ways that strangers like a coach and a manager would not be having this conversation, I don't believe, if they probably weren't brothers or very, very closely related. Anyway, that's a rehash of last week, and again, like the chips will go where they may, and we're not done with this yet. As I mentioned, Darcy Patrick is joining us today. Darcy, it is so wonderful to see your lovely face. I mentioned, I don't know if you saw the beginning of the show or not, but you remain one of my all-time heroes. I don't have many, but you're one of them. How you doing?
Wow, and that means so much to me that you say that, and it's so nice to see you again. I'm doing good. I'm on the mend,
good.
Getting stronger slowly every day. So
now we met to do a backstory, and it's not going to be the primary reason that we're talking today, but a backstory quickly. I'll try to be quick because you've got such a story that it would take the entire show to go through it. But Darcy was in a dark place a number of years ago. He was on the bridge, literally. Pulled himself back and did the hardest things that someone suffering from mental illness can do. He asked for help. And if you've ever been anywhere in one of those dark places, that's the hardest thing to do. He ended up going to a therapist who advised that he should start his road back to good mental health by writing his experiences down, writing his story, etc. And never, Darcy, did you expect this to become a book? It was just for your own healing. And since then you've done, or almost have done, 5 books. The first one was Why I Run, how I won my life back, and it's gone from there. For which I congratulate you wholeheartedly. Now your life, Darcy used to be, sorry not letting you talk yet, I'm just trying to set the scene here. Darcy was one of the supervisory staff at Long and McQuaid music store that you're familiar with in Niagara for many, many years. Niagara renowned musician, bass player, etc., and is now changed his life into author, mental health advocate, facilitator, instructor, etc. And I'm assuming you still have the title of peer support worker at the Hamilton Hospital. Is that correct?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll go back in July.
Yeah. So that's the part of your life that I'm familiar with, and only recently, recently for us, not necessarily for you, started your journey through the Niagara health system. And it started one morning with a bad back. Time for you to go tell us what's happened since then.
Yeah, so I am a peer support worker in Hamilton at the West 5th location. 5 books led me to where I am, so I kind of changed my life over the last 6 years, completely turned it upside down on its head. So on January the 2nd, I woke up with no rhyme, no reason, with the most excruciating back pain that I've ever felt in my entire life. I couldn't move. There was 3 levels of pain. There was like a hard pain, like wrapped around my spine. There was a stabbing pain and electrical shock going through my legs. And this pain, I thought, I must have done something. I must have twisted my back. I must have, pulled a muscle or something. But that evening, I got up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom, and I could hardly get out of bed. My wife literally had to lift me up and help me to the bathroom. And I got out of the bathroom and I looked at her and I said, I'm done. Like, this is like the most painful thing I've ever experienced. And she said, well, what are we going to do? And I'm like, just, I throw in the towel, call 911. So from that moment on, the bizarreness of this just kind of took off. The paramedics showed up to my house. I could barely walk 3 feet or 5 feet without pain. My right leg was barely working. My left leg, my wife had to help me put on my pants because I couldn't move. And the ambulance came, and the attendants were like, "Why did you call 911? Why didn't you just have your wife drive you in?" They intimidated, they humiliated, and they made me walk out my front door, down my stairs in the freezing cold, and they sat me in the rumble seat of the ambulance, the little seat that folds down.
Wow.
They sat me there when I could barely stand or sit.
No, because they just thought it was just another guy with a sore back.
Yeah, they automatically think whenever somebody has a bad back that there's nothing wrong with them. That's just the way it is. That's why I got treated the way I got treated in the hospital. And when I was in the ambulance, sitting in that seat, the ambulance attendant looked at me again and said, "I don't understand why you called 911 and not have your wife call, drive you in." So I said to her, I know the implications of calling 911. I work in a hospital now. I really don't want to put my personal health at risk with COVID-19 running wild at that time in the hospital. Mm-hmm. And putting, if I go back to work, putting the other employees and where I work at risk as well.
Okay, so take us now to the hospital.
So, she was just stared at me with a blank look, didn't respond. I get to the hospital and I finally see the doctor. I'm lying on the examination bed, and I'm in writhing pain. The pain that I was experiencing was a 10 to an 11 at all times. It was relentless. And he walked in and he said, "Mr. Patrick, I hear you have a bad back." And I was like, "No, man, there's something really serious going on." And I went into great detail with how my pain was working its way into my abdomen, down into my legs. I went through the severe night sweats I was having as my body was trying to fight this off.
Wow.
Where I'd wake up in the middle of the night with someone threw a bucket of water on top of me. I went through everything, and he just looked at me and didn't even react. He grabbed my leg, moved it around. I was in severe pain. He got me to stand up and try to bend over. I could bend maybe an inch forward, never go backwards. I was a guy who woke up every morning at 5 a.m. for the past 2 years doing yoga and meditation, and there was no reason for this to happen. So he offered to give me more Tylenol and Advil. Didn't do blood work, didn't do urine, didn't think of getting maybe even an X-ray or a CT scan of my back, given all the things that I told him. I don't want to go into too much detail about that. And he sent me on my way.
He sent you home.
He sent me home. And again, once I saw him, I was then made to walk out of the emergency as well, without anyone escorting me, showing me where I'm going, and them knowing I'm in excruciating pain. It was just like, get out of here. You got a bad back. So I was intimidated. I was humiliated. And for some reason, I trusted this dude because I didn't want it to be bad. I wanted it to be, like he said, a bad back.
Well, we're trained to believe these professionals when they tell us something.
Yeah.
So
right. So
that's how we're brought up.
Yeah. So I trusted him. So I went home, and I said, okay, let's get over the counter muscle relaxants. I was popping 9 Advil gel caps a day, probably 4 to 5 muscle relaxants to get so I could still work, still provide for my family. I was up every morning trying to stretch, this out, and nothing was working. In fact, it was getting worse, and I was losing more function in my legs by the day.
So when did and how did the correct diagnosis happen?
Yeah, so I woke up, and this is funny because it was the day that my 5th book was to be released, right? Which is normally a great thing where you promote and launch a book and be happy. So February 28th, I woke up, I went downstairs, and I started to do yoga, and my legs didn't work. So I was grabbing my leg, and I was physically moving it into place, my left leg, trying to balance. It wouldn't balance, went to the right one. And then I quit, and I lied down, and I thought to myself, I'm done. Not only is this going to be something extremely serious and not a bad back, but this is going to be a really long recovery. So I went upstairs, popped my pills, and I was like, you know what? I feel good. I'm going to go to work. So I drove to Hamilton, to West 5th, and I worked the morning shift. And by noon, I could barely lift my legs off the ground. So I got in my car and I left, and I came back to the emergency, scared.
Here in St. Catharines?
Yeah, I was scared, and I was humiliated. But I had to take a chance. Thank goodness that the doctor that I saw actually did his job. And I want to really stress how good of treatment I got. The professional, the caring, the kindness that I got once I was admitted into that hospital. I saw this doctor, and through this whole thing, I don't like mentioning names, but this doctor's name was Dr. Beecroft. And he actually listened to everything I said. And I was sitting in this horrible recliner that they have in the emergency room.
Yeah.
And so to try and relieve some stress.
Sure.
And he ordered blood work, urine. He got me a CT scan. And directly after 20 minutes after the CT scan, he walked up to me and he said, we got to get him out of this recliner and into a bed. And
okay. So
yeah, and so then he said, there is a bacterial infection attacking your spine.
Say that a bacterial infection attacking your spine.
Yeah. So
wow.
Yeah, so they ordered an MRI to make sure, they wanted to get a better look at it, to make sure it didn't look like cancer. And then they admitted me directly into I was in a bed within an hour on a ward. They did a biopsy of it. and they ruled out that it was cancer. And then this led to them contacting infectious disease, and 3 weeks of testing and antibiotics at the general hospital.
Wow.
Before, and they were incredible. Like their pain management, the doctors, like a level of caring, and knowing that there was something extremely wrong with me, that it wasn't just a bad back.
Well, it must have it must have been a relatively eureka moment for you when finally people started to pay attention to what you knew was going on in your own body. I mean, that's got to be a relief when you can finally feel comfortable about putting your future health in the hands of somebody that believes you.
Yeah, it was. It was amazing. Like I was amazed at the caring that was going on, and how they wouldn't give up.
So then, sorry to interrupt you, but so then the treatment has resulted in some pretty significant procedures. How did they proceed to try to get at this bacterial infection in your spine?
Yeah. So what happened was they were hitting it with like IV antibiotics like 3 times a day, and what was happening to me, nothing was lessening. It was getting worse.
Okay.
So I couldn't lift my left leg off the bed. If I got up to go to the bathroom, I would get like the shakes, like I had like a high flu, like a high temperature, but I had no temperature at all. So my nervous system and everything was like running wild. So they referred me to Hamilton, to the neurosurgeon, the neurology place, right? So they shipped me by ambulance all the way there, and a doctor and a bunch of other doctors looked me over, looked at all my tests, and then said, we need like another biopsy. We need bone marrow. We need all this stuff. So they sent me back, and they did all the tests in St. Catharines, and it was instant. As soon as they did the second biopsy, I was so painful. It was ridiculous. And I woke up the next morning from the biopsy and a full body MRI, in just the most writhing pain I've ever been in. And my right leg is numb from the knee all the way up to my hip now. And the doctor comes in and says, you're going to Hamilton for emergency back surgery.
Wow. That's a message that people don't want to hear.
Yeah. I was like, okay, let's do it, right? Like, I mean, we got to, at that point, my pain was at an 11. Like it was never wavering. It was never going down. Wow. So yeah, okay. I went to Hamilton, and I woke up, and I got lucky, and I got a doctor named Dr. Bittner, who's like Canada's leading neurosurgeon, and he went in and he said that the disc was completely gone at L2 and L3, and the bone on those vertebrae were eaten. So he had to put in 8 screws, 2 rods, and use like a fusion type mixture in between the 2 vertebrae that will become bone. So my life's completely stopped, dead in its tracks for the next, wow. I'm not going to be able to go back to work till July 6th. I'm able to sit for like 30, 40 minutes. I can walk with my walker, and I can stand long enough to kind of, wash myself, shave, and brush my teeth.
And then what is the long-term prognosis? Will you be able to do the things that you did before as you did them? Because I mean, like the title of your first book was Why I Run, because part of your personal therapy was you became a runner And you've always been very physically active, etc. Are you going to get back there?
They say that you'll get back to maybe 80% of
Okay.
what you were. I asked him immediately, like the next day when I woke up from the surgery, I said, like, will I be able to run again? And he said, yes, but you'll have to relearn how. I said, will I
Right,
be
okay.
able to do yoga again?
Yeah.
And he said, yes, but you're going to have to relearn how. So,
Okay.
I mean, and I'm not new to that, right? Like, I'm very resilient. I make up tools, I write books. So I understand what he's saying when it comes to relearning how to do these things. And
So-
I mean,
So Darcy, the very first thing that went through because I follow you on Facebook and we don't talk a lot, but I try to stay up to date with what's happening with you because I care about you, and the first thing that went through my mind is I don't know, call it serendipity or whatever it is, the downside of being where you were in that dark place many years ago, digging yourself out of the hole, building yourself a new life, happy, well-adjusted, productive guy, just thrilled with where he is, and then to be hammered by this bizarre thing, like out of nowhere. It's like, how do you not get dragged back into that dark place? You understand? Like, of all people for this to happen to, somebody that's got all this positive stuff going on now in his life, it's like, oh my God, how did you do that? How did you get through that?
well, I drew on my resources. I believe that, everything in life happens in perfect timing. And I think that everything that I had done, all the teaching, all the writing, all the working with mental health, was preparing me for this. Because if I hadn't written the books, if I hadn't had all that therapy, this would have taken me down.
So you used
100%.
you used your own tools
So I use
to help
my own
yourself
tools.
again. Wow.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
So I talk to my therapist, once a week, sometimes twice a week, via phone while I was in the hospital. I worked my way through, the hard times, trying to understand what my new me was going to be
Yeah.
after this, and come to grips with it, and realize that, that it's okay that this happened.
Well, I'm glad you're still with us. Your attitude is amazing, and thank you for the story. And it sends a great message that we all should pay attention to our own bodies and make sure that that others pay attention to it as well. Thanks, Darcy, and Godspeed. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Lee. Thank you very much for having me today.
You're welcome, man. Bye. Check him out on Facebook, etc., and his books and whatnot. Now, if you are so inclined, please, while you're watching this feed, share it. That's all you got to do. Just click share, and you will be in the running to win a half-hour massage from Clover Therapeutics Wellness Center in Niagara Falls. Clover Therapeutic Wellness Center. Well, and those are very valuable things. And boy, I'll tell you, if you've never had a really good deep tissue therapeutic massage, you don't know what you're missing. It'll be one of the best. You'll go back again, I can almost guarantee you. Also want to take this moment out to thank Gales Gas Bars for fueling this program, and also Performance Heating and Air Verge Insurance Group for supporting us. WeeStreem, Kevin Jack, executive producer of this program, and his partner Brandon Scram, Canada's premier streaming company. One of the best interviews, I don't know if it's best interview, one of the more interesting interviews, I guess, is a better way to put it for me, is one that we did with the executive director of the LGBT plus Chamber of Commerce, and you saw those rainbow bars over at Gales Gas. They are Niagara's registered LGBT plus business. It is the time to get your heating and air conditioning systems checked out as we head into the hotter weather. Performance Heating and Air, thank you for supporting us. They try to save Niagarans money because they have family living here too, you know. Verge Insurance Group, Mark Shirk, Blake Shirk, Verge Insurance Brokers Limited, thanks for being here. We have Jim Hill coming up. I'm not sure if he's waiting in the wings yet, Kevin, or not. But when we were conversing yesterday, I mentioned to him you might want to click in about 12:45, and so we're waiting for Jim to do that. Jim Hill is the senior manager of Heritage for the Niagara Parks Commission, and the topic of conversation today is that old scow that's been locked in rocks at the top of the falls in the Upper Rapids since 1918. My mother was born in 1917, and she just died about a year ago at 101. So that's how, when you think about how long that hunk of metal has been sitting locked in space and time in the Upper Rapids since 1919.
I think Niagara's the only place in Canada you can travel where people know what you mean when you say scow.
Scow, yeah, I know. It's
Oh yeah, the old scow.
generations and generations.
Literally a word I've never used elsewhere in my life outside of describing that one thing.
Yeah.
Lee, while we wait for Jim, wanted to throw this up here. Big fire at Feulled Automotive, or I'll get the exact name right, but I mean, people could just see this.
Medic Automotive.
Yeah, for miles and miles and miles. I think this is just going back. Was this yesterday afternoon or Tuesday?
No,
I think it was
no.
Tuesday.
Yeah.
It was Tuesday.
Yeah.
And I mean, just
because I
terrible.
reached out to the medics. And a lot of people thought when they said it was Medic Automotive, they thought it had some relationship to the medical profession, like ambulance repairs, and nothing could be further from the truth. That's simply the last name of the couple that built the business and owns the business. But it was a pretty
Look at that shot
awesome looking fire.
I mean, you want to say that everybody in Niagara saw this fire. It was a clear day, and people could just... So many people were talking about it in the days past. And it should be noted, Lee, that... And I zoomed in there. I mean, I know it. I didn't know it as Medic. I knew it as the 407 Auto Parts. Mm-hmm. And then I also knew that Sealands and Sons Paving also shared that building. I drive by there quite often.
Right.
So I knew that the paving company was there, and they're kind of lost in it. I mean, the majority... of that building is occupied by the auto parts, but also Sealands and Paving. So a number of companies, a lot of families and individuals really affected by this fire that just kind of took over the skyline in Niagara on Tuesday.
Unbelievable. The visuals of that fire. Now, they not exactly sure what was inside there, but there were definitely automobiles, and they specialize, as I understand it, in auto repair of imported and or exotic vehicles. So if there were vehicles in there, big black smoke would probably involve some sort of rubber. Like if you've ever seen rubber burn, then it's big and black and thick and toxic like that. And I did reach out to the medics, by the way, yesterday or the day before, and I was thanked profusely for reaching out, because they posted something on 411 thanking the firefighters and the emergency personnel for helping out as they did, and I thought that was under a time of such stress and emotional upheaval, for the owners of a business like that to come out and publicly thank people for their support, I think that's pretty special. So I did reach out to see if they wanted to come in on and talk about it. She said it's just a little bit too early. We have a lot of big decisions to make, and but we appreciate you reaching out. And it's going to be a tough time to work through, because, well, you can imagine the kind of things you're going to have to deal with. So our condolences to the medics for having to have gone through that. That's never good. Fire's so debilitating. Joining us on the program, as I mentioned, Jim Hill. He's Senior Manager of Heritage for the Niagara Parks Commission. And hi, Jim. You are actually live and in living color at the top of the falls, and behind you is our Scow, I see.
That's right, Lee. How are you?
I'm good. Now, start out first of all, Jim, by telling me, if any, what relationship you have to the famous hills that I worshipped when I was a kid. Oh, we got a freeze. It'll be back. Did you hear the question?
I did, yeah.
Okay.
I am not related to
You're not?
William Red Hill Senior's family, no. But
Oh,
they kind of, at the 100th anniversary in 2018, a couple of them said I would be adopted into their part of the clan. And they're lovely people. Lovely people.
Okay, because Red was actually pivotal in rescuing the guys that were on that barge when it got stuck.
Yeah, and what's incredible is here's a guy who'd already rescued people on the river, had been given bravery medals by an organization that's still out in Alberta that still gives Canadian civilians bravery medals. It sounds like the Royal Canadian Humane Society, but I'm going to mess up the name. But they will still give out medals to people to this day. They've been around for 120 years.
Wow.
And he'd already saved people on the river. He had come back from the trenches of World War I. We're pretty sure he'd been gassed, maybe wounded as well.
Mm-hmm.
And on the day of the rescue, there are a lot of guys here. The fire department, the local police, the Parks Police, the U.S. Coast Guard. The power stations are still guarded by local militia troops because the war's still on. And of all those guys, Red Hill volunteers to go out on these tangled lines that have been fired over to the Scow by the Coast Guard.
He'll be back.
I mean, look at some of these images.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if we've...
Sorry, Jim, we just got a little bit of
everybody just stepped out of his way. This is Red Hill. This is the guy. So.
And so how many people did he have helping him then do this?
Well, that's a good question. Maybe some of your viewers or listeners might have a better sense of it. But I always tell you there has to be at least 100 guys there.
Wow.
Between the guard on the power station, the local police, the local fire department, the Parks Police, there's a lot of people standing around. And here's this guy who's not really directly affiliated with any of the rescue services.
Yeah.
Who volunteers.
He's just a.
And they let him. They let him.
Well, he was a river man, and he knew that river probably better than anybody alive.
Yeah.
So Jim, what is the current situation? What I heard this past week is that the Scow was shifting or had shifted, that there were, and I don't know what to believe and what not to believe, that there were maybe some chunks had broken off, et cetera. What's the current status of our Scow?
Well, it does appear to be in three chunks, three pieces. And if people had seen the Scow even a month ago, the portion that was left was intact, but there was a large gap forming in the middle of the hull, or what was left of the hull.
Right.
And then just last week, we had a lot of weather. Of course, the ice boom was let out. And so you had a big flow of water and a big flow of ice down the river. And it would appear that break in the hull has now been complete. And then a portion of the Scow facing upriver broke off. But none of it's gone very far. It's basically sitting where it was or has been for the past couple of years on the rocks and the rapids.
So it did, as I understand, make some sort of a major shift, major in this situation, in what, 2019?
Right, so Halloween night of 2019, we had wind conditions, high water in Lake Erie, and again, it shifted. That was the first major move in 101 years at that point. So, and it only moved less than 50 meters at the time.
And in the scheme of things, with the power of that river and that spot, that's amazing that it has not, in 101 years or 103 now, been dislodged completely and gone over. How do you continue to monitor this, Jim?
Our Parks Police have a camera on it all the time, so they're keeping an eye on the Scow all the time. Since that last move, they decided to make sure they keep an eye on it. But really, Lee, it does look like it's breaking up in place. I mean, we don't want to say it won't move further, because if you'd asked me in 2018, is this thing going to move? I said, oh, it's been there for 100 years.
Yeah.
But just the state of it, there's really none of it that is left that seems to be buoyant. I mean, it was made of pretty heavy metal back when it was a functioning Scow. So it seems to be breaking up. And really, even in 2018, half the Scow was gone.
Okay.
We have drone footage that we took for the 100th anniversary of the rescue. And the whole American-facing side, facing New York State, which was really facing into the current a little bit, had been sheared away. So what we were looking at was more like a billboard. It looked like a boat, but it was really just sort of just one half of it facing Canada.
Right. Amazing. So what are your thoughts with regard to how long it'll be there? Will the remnants of it be there for another 100 years, or is it just going to disintegrate and float away in bits? Are we going to get a picture of it actually going over? What do you think is going to happen?
Tough to say, Lee, but if what's happened to it in the past few decades is any indication, it looks like it's going to break up where it is. Just like that other half that's disappeared over the decades, that's
right.
Probably what we're seeing, but in a little more spectacular fashion than in the small pieces that we're breaking off from the side-facing Goat Island.
But we know that, as you say, we got a camera on it, so we won't miss it. If there's some sort of cataclysm.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Well, we'll see if big chunks do go over.
Yeah. So Jim, what does a senior manager of heritage do for the Niagara Parks Commission? Tell us a bit about you.
Well, I tell people I'm kind of our lead storyteller.
Awesome.
So, and we have a lot of great stories in this community and up and down the whole river. So we have 4 staffed historic sites. From Fort Erie to the Mackenzie Printery, Laura Seacord's home, and McFarland House.
Yeah.
So those are staffed mainly through the summer months and into the fall by our team. And then we have a big collection of plaques, and markers, and monuments, and artwork, museum, archives. That's sort of our responsibility.
That's wonderful, and I'm so glad we got in touch. So stay in touch with us. I'm going to keep all your contact info because you're fascinating stuff around Niagara, and whenever we have a chance to pick your brain and your memory and your records, we'll do so. I really appreciate you taking the time, especially to do this from the river and go out of your way to help us with this, because this is just an awesome piece of Niagara history. Thank you.
It's a great story. Thanks, Lee.
Take care. Jim Hill, Senior Manager of Heritage for Niagara Parks Commission. And no relation to the Hill family and Red Hill that rescued the people out of that Scow. How does that happen, Kevin?
Well, here you thought it was nepotism.
I did. I thought there was some sort of deep DNA here that we needed to explore. But that's amazing because I mean, like any Niagaran of my age, you've been fascinated with that thing since you were knee-high to a Coke bottle, and it's always been part of our lives. Always been part of folklore. There's all kinds of stories that are made up about it that are not at all true. People call it a shipwreck. Well, it's not a ship. It never was a ship. It was just a barge that got let loose from what was being towed, and then it got hung up with people inside it on the rocks above the falls. And like so many stories about that. Great conversation. Thank you, Jim Hill, and thank you, Niagara Parks Commission, for making him available. And the fact that he went down to the river to do this, Kevin, is awesome. And nice shots that you put up there too, by the way. Very cool.
Yeah, very cool. Seems they're not the only ones flying a drone over. Aren't drones so cool? We can get such great footage sometimes.
You know, and there's another one of those technology things. We've said before, social media can be used for good or can be used for evil. Things like drones that were, first of all, only the realm of military, and they were used for surveillance or to blow things up from very far away, so that people weren't. I mean, that's let's face it, that's where drone technology came from. It's from the military, and now it's become commercialized, like most things have become commercialized. Hey, we've got this in industrial use. I wonder if we can market this to the general public, to the consumer. And here we go. And we all, yes, and we do hear about the crappy things that people do with drones, but there's a fine example of sports activities, another one. I've seen the real estate industry using major drone activity to highlight the properties that they have for sale on their sites. I mean, so many positive, creative things are being done with these drones. So again, it's you can use things for good or evil depending on what your mindset is.
And Lee, for the good, I just want, and as a way to segue and bring an update, drones have been used by experts in the search for Katrina Blagden and also for Nick Adamson,
which continues to get a lot of attention on our broadcast.
Just wanted to let you know, I am a member of both of their Facebook groups, so really that's where I'm gleaning information.
Okay.
But there has not really been an update of significance in the last week, and of course we really hope that we get something soon in either of those cases. There was another missing persons case this week on Niagara 411.
Yes, it was posted on Niagara 411.
And you know what, Lee, while here, just a second, I'm searching for that. You're a dog owner and a dog walker, and this Good Samaritan story popped out at me a little bit. So I'll pull up the missing persons, and you can share this with people.
I will indeed. This afternoon, when returning home from work, a lady pulled into our driveway asking if I had a dog loose. My neighbor had just informed me that my dogs both got out 4 hours earlier, and they were only able to get one in the house. I said yes, and that he's a pot cake. I'm not sure what that is. A pataki?
I'm not sure either.
I
saw that as well.
A rescue, it might be from a particular place, and was terrified of new people, because I know that happens if dogs are imported from other lands. My son and I set out, we live on Beaver Dams Road across from Seaway property. He could be anywhere, and started shouting his name, Freddie. This wonderful woman set out on foot to help and stayed until we had him. My son was able to find him, thank goodness, and asked for the lady's name. Her name is Valerie, and she does drove a dark grayback small vehicle. I would love to thank her in person for her kindness and help. It's people like this that restore my faith in humanity. Valerie Hall. A couple of Valeries. It's nice that people just do things for people. It just is.
Really is. Lee, in just a second here, we're going to talk to Meilleur from the Meridian Centre, because Cirque du Soleil is coming and all the things that are happening this summer and maybe beyond at the Meridian Centre. But do want to put a focus on a missing persons case here. This guy from Smithville.
Yeah, this went up a number of days ago. Currently conducting a missing person investigation stemming from the township of West Lincoln, Smithville, as Kevin said. 8 district NRPS officers searching for Kyle Brocklebank. He's 33 years old. Family members reported that Kyle was missing to the Hamilton Police Service on the 10th of April. An investigation is still underway. It was determined that Kyle was last seen in the Niagara region March the 24th. That's a while back, 2022, in the area of London Road and Thompson in the township of West Lincoln. The Niagara Regional Police Service has assumed carriage of the missing person investigation, meaning that it's now on their turf. Kyle is male, white, 6'3", 185 pounds, so he's sort of tall and slender, short dark hair, spiked in the front, thin goatee, believed to be wearing a black jacket, blue jeans, black DC shoes. And of course, everybody's concerned about Kyle's welfare. So March 24th, That's a while back. Here in Niagara somewhere. Kevin, we have had a lot of people ask, what the heck is going on in Niagara, or do we just hear more about people that go missing?
Could be a little bit of both, but
I think so.
It has been a little eerie, the number of incidents, I'd say, in 2022.
Yeah.
It really has been, but like you said, I don't know what to put it up to other than every single one of these cases means that there are family and extended families whose hearts are absolutely breaking.
I can't imagine.
And they're not news stories, they're human stories. And I mean, we try and reach out. We've had Kelly Blagden on, we've had Nick Adamson's brother on, and I mean, you can just see it. Like, God.
And the depth of emotion and pain that these families have to go through, I just can't imagine it. On a lighter note, Cirque du Soleil has a show called Crystal coming to the Meridian Centre. And what's kind of cool about this is, as you see there, the Meridian Centre is the only Canadian stop on this North American tour. Don't miss this opportunity. It's here from June 30th to the 3rd. Kay Meilleur is joining us. She's the Director of Marketing for the Meridian Centre. Hey, Kay, welcome back to the show.
Hey, Lee. Thank you for having me.
Oh, my pleasure. Always good to have you. Oh, nice cow in the background.
That's Betsy.
Is that a pet cow?
Yeah, that's Betsy.
All right. Yeah.
I have a thing for cows.
Okay, so it is, as we say to everybody that runs public facilities, and we've talked to you about this before, is the fact that it's nice to be past this COVID shutdown thing, and we can actually start entertaining people and getting together to be entertained now. And how does the Meridian Centre become the only stop on a tour of a company as famous as Cirque du Soleil? How does that happen?
Well, I like to think a lot of it has to do with
you?
How we managed me and how we managed to sell that show out so well before the shutdown. So that show was scheduled before the pandemic, and we had all but sold out 8 performances so quickly for that show, and then they actually added a 9th performance because it was selling so well. So I think that had a lot to do with it. I'm sure there'll be other tours that come along that have it, but for right now, we're super excited that it's the only Canadian stop, and I think what that means for us is that. Generally, most of our shows are about 85% locals. I think that in this case, we'll definitely see a lot more people coming from out of town.
And that's an opportunity because a lot of people from outside Niagara that haven't had the chance, when they do see the Meridian Centre, they realize what a world-class facility it really is.
Yeah, it's great. And similar to Elton John, I remember talking to people after Elton John was here, and there were some people who didn't know he was here, and I thought, were you living under a rock? How did you not know that Elton John was in Catharines? Right. But we actually had a fair amount of people come from out of town for that show as well, and it's nice to be able to not only highlight the Meridian Centre, but Niagara itself as an amazing destination. So, yeah, anytime we can do that, it's a bonus.
What are the price points on the tickets for Cirque du Soleil?
They range from about 65 to about 120 for tickets for those shows.
Okay.
Plus fees always.
Yeah.
They're not bad. It's also not a full arena setup. It's basically like a horseshoe setup.
Gotcha.
Where the stage is about just behind center ice. So it's not 5,400 fans in the building. It's probably about 2,700 in total. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, just to give a perspective of what
so there probably won't be, considering that and that design, there probably won't be a bad seat in the house.
No, and I like to actually think that there really isn't a bad seat in the house in our venue. Again, I talk about Elton John, but imagine being able to see Elton that close, and the worst seat in our venue is, would be a $500 ticket in, one of the bigger stadium shows. So. Right. There really isn't a bad seat, and I think for this show it's interesting because I heard you chatting earlier. There's so much acrobatic in it, and not just on the ice. It's in the air. It's it's all around you. So it is a very intimate show.
It's really. I've seen a couple of Cirque du Soleil shows in the U.S. as well as Canada, etc. And they're also very different, and that's why it's really hard to pigeonhole the Cirque du Soleil's experience as any one particular thing. They're not just trapeze artists. They're not just acrobats. They're not just magicians. You don't know how to describe Cirque du Soleil because there are just so many different skill sets and talents that are involved in one of their shows.
It's true. I sort of wrap up the experience in just one word, that it's magical. No matter what show it is, no matter if it's the Beatles show, if it's whatever it is, it's a magical experience because you can't imagine. I think almost everyone is better than the next. They're so talented. The artists are phenomenal. They work such crazy intense hours to be able to put that on. And this show, I mean, imagine doing acrobatics, and then imagine doing it with skates strapped to your feet and flying over top of ice. I don't know. I'm slightly terrified, but I'm really looking forward to that experience.
Yeah. Me too. And they tailor their experience to the size of the venue they're playing in. I've seen them play in very, very large areas where they've got maybe 100 troupe members or whatever doing different things all in context, and then very intimate, like you were talking about, very intimate settings, but they're still as amazingly entertaining, regardless of whether it's big or small. It's truly an experience worth seeing. It's amazing.
It's true. And a little fun fact: when we built this venue, one of the things that we did, we made sure that we had a tall ceiling, so it's 54 feet. And we did that to ensure that we could get shows like Cirque du Soleil in, because if you can imagine the rigging that's required to get artists to fly across the venue, it's pretty impressive. So, I mean, that's it's one of the things that we did, and thankfully that's paid off for us.
Cool. Can we get tickets? Can we get tickets now? Are they on sale?
So they're on pre-sale right now, and they go on sale to the general public on Tuesday the 19th at 10 a.m.
Awesome.
And I would like to say to people to go to the Meridian Centre website. Often you'll be redirected to a fake site, a fake ticketing site. Go directly to the Meridian Centre page and click on the Buy Now, and you'll be sent directly to the Meridian Centre.
All right, thank you. That's good advice, because these days with ticket sellers, third-party sellers being what they are, you're never quite sure. So go directly to the Meridian Centre site. Kay Meilleur, Director of Marketing for the Meridian, thanks for being here. Congratulations on being able to get back to normal and landing this show. Give our regards to Betsy, and we'll talk soon. Okay.
Sounds great, Lee. Thank you.
Awesome. Bye, Kay.
Bye.
There's our
Now,
protectors going on by.
Those video clips that you were seeing during the interview with Kay, that is from Cirque du Soleil, and those are clips from this crystal show.
Well, that's what I assumed, because she talked about skating and acrobatics, etc. And as I was catching glimpses of the shots up there, so that's part and parcel of what you're going to get a chance to see from June 30th until July the 3rd. At the Meridian Centre, and go to their site, buy the tickets directly from them. Don't go to a third-party seller, all right? Because there's all kinds of ticket scams out there. You never know when you're going to get burned by one. And to follow up, speaking of scams, to follow up on what I was talking about last week with the Ontario license sticker rebate scam that was going out, people getting emails and stuff saying, go here to claim your money and and we said, your stuff's going to come in the mail. It's not going to come over email. It's not going to come over text. It's not going to come over direct message. It's got to come in your snail mail. And sure enough, my wife and I both got our rebate checks over the past week. So they're on the ball. As long as your address hasn't changed since you got your last sticker, and all your vitals, like your email address and all that, and your home address and all that rest of it, are in place, you're good to go. All right. So there we go. Kevin, we're gonna chat a bit with Len Bates from the Kiwanis Club, because we're going to be partnering with them, kind of in a cool fundraising event happening here at Fiddler's Poorhouse on June the 16th. And we're going to bring him in just a second. I want to bring something up, though, because I want to watch your head blow up. And I just.
Well, you know what, Lee? I thought you were going to go here, so I'm going to set.
We're
going to
go up there.
I'll set them up, and while I'm doing that, I'll let you.
Okay, because you don't want to come. Yeah. Well, because I'm going to bring this up because it was me that wanted to do this, because it's something. I'm sorry. City Council of St. Catharines. We don't want to be politician bashing all the time, but I think you booted this one. I really think you. This is me saying this. I think you booted it. It being a $15 a year or season parking pass for our beaches. Now, you'll remember, everybody that's watching this, we had some issues, some problems with parking and too many people overloading the beaches of, be it Port Dalhousie, Sunset Beach in the north end of St. Catharines and others, because of people coming from outside the Niagara region, coming here because they weren't restricted as far as masks and COVID mandates and all of this other stuff. Well, then the city of St. Catharines put in place a system whereby you could apply, if you were a local resident, you could apply for a mirror hanger, a ticket, if you will, a pass, to be able to park at the beaches, or the parking places at the beaches within the purview of the city. Okay, so and a lot of us did that. I did this as well. One passer, family, etc. Okay, that's cool. So you don't have two cars down there. Whatever. Okay. So now, as a result of having to monitor and regulate this, apparently it was very onerous for staff of the city. So COVID is pretty much, as far as restrictions are concerned, COVID is pretty much done. But anyway, the council goes forward and say, because of this onerous load that was put on city staff, we've changed how we're going to do this. We're not going to discontinue the passes, but we're now going to make you pay for them. $15, you got to pay for a parking pass if you're a local resident of Niagara to be on a St. Catharines beach. What the hell are you thinking? This makes absolutely no sense. We don't have the COVID issues anymore. The Toronto and GTA people have their own beaches now that they can go to. We're probably not. We're going to go back to what we were before, when you could just go to a beach. We're going to be what we were before, and then if there's some sort of a problem, you deal with it after the fact. But I'm sorry. Now we've got this new system, this new company, this new software, the new logistics of tracking things, and oh my God, we're now in this wonderful, technologically advanced place when it comes to monitoring who's paying to be at our beaches. Well, I'm sorry, you got it wrong. You booted this one. It's not going to fly. You're going to get a lot of flack, and you're closing the door after the cows have already run out. You know, you're closing the barn door way too late. It's done. It's over. You should have just canceled the whole pass program, be it free or not, right from the get-go, and said, okay, come to the beach, and then we'll deal with the problems later. It's just ridiculous. Sorry. Ridiculous.
All right,
I'll stop now, Kev. I'll stop now. Coming up on the 16th of June, we shall be ensconced here as per usual in the window. We'll probably have the window open at that point at Fiddler's Poorhouse. And we're going to be kind of partnering and enjoying the company of the Kiwanis Club and one of their big fundraisers of the season. Joining us, Len Bates of the Kiwanis Club. His companion is Sandra, but Len's the mouthpiece for the organization. How you doing, Len? What's going on?
Well, thanks, Lee. It's interesting with the opportunity of sitting here and listening to what you're doing. This is a first-hand experience for me, and I'm enjoying it. I'm going to have to be one of your followers now.
I hope so.
Oh, absolutely, and I'll pass the word out. The reason I'm here, I'm representing the Kiwanis Club of St. Catharines. We've been established here in the city since 1935, so for 87 years plus we've been doing things in the community, and I'm sure you know the different things we've done. Mm-hmm. This year, our president, Corey Abbott, decided that we should make it our project to help all agencies that are starting, meaning there's people out there that have a really good desire to make a difference in the community. They don't know how to finance it, or they don't know where to go for help when it comes to marketing. They don't know where to go to get support or like-minded people. So we're trying to do different things like that. In the last while, we've had certain ones come to the club, and we give them checks for $1,000. Now they have to meet a certain procedure first to be eligible for that. But they come to the club and they explain to the club what they're doing and how they're doing it and why they're doing it. And then we look at that and see how we can help them. And money is certainly always helpful, but it's not always just... I'm sorry, Lee.
No, I just said always. Money's always helpful.
Well, it is, and people look at that, but there's more to it. Our goal is not just to throw money at a project. You know, what's the old expression? You're going to give the person fish, or you're going to teach them how to fish.
Exactly.
And I think our goal is to see what we can do to help them progress, and how to introduce like-minded people in the community that they may share their knowledge and their abilities to do things in the community.
So what's happening on the 16th of June?
Well, I'm going to let Sandra talk about that, but
Oh, she told me she didn't want to talk.
Well, listen, I'm going to tell you,
You get Sandra started, though, and she won't stop.
Sandra is the committee chair, and Sandra got me in here because she said she couldn't talk.
Okay.
So, and she can certainly talk. As a matter of fact, we're very thankful. Sandra's committee was the one that was responsible for trying to narrow down the ones that had an immediate need and an immediate availability to do something quick. And Kiwanis Club has already put up $10,000 to help the Niagara Mobile Closet get off the ground. They had an older vehicle, and I won't go into details, but they needed a couple $1,000s immediately. We provided that, plus we're providing more money to go things with it. So we put a challenge out there. Anybody interested in helping out the Niagara's Mobile Closet, or if you want to get into other projects out there and you think Kiwanis might be able to help, please contact us. That's what we're here for, to make a difference in the community.
All right, Sandra, you're up. Tell us about June the 16th. What's it called? Wacky Wager, I hear?
Yes.
All right.
So Kiwanis has collaborated with Niagara's Mobile Closet to create a fundraiser that challenges our community to get involved. We call it the Wacky Wager. Teams or individuals will raise money to perform a dare live on Niagara's 411, June 16th, at Fiddler's Poorhouse, located at 149 St. Paul Street, St. Catharines. This is going to be a fun and interactive event, as we're all been waiting for, as COVID is finally getting near.
How do we find out about this and know what to do?
Well, first, I would like to dare you to join us in making a difference in our community, but to the Mayor and City Hall. We know how compassionate you are and caring you are with our homeless population. So Kiwanis is asking if you are willing to participate in our goal to raise money for Niagara's Mobile Closet to continue their great efforts in everything they do in our community, to bring in a team and come and do a dare.
Okay. All right, so there's a direct challenge to city council. Right after I bashed them for charging me for beach parking. That was good, great timing, you know.
You're welcome.
Oh, well, they call it. It ain't called live streaming for nothing. There's a reason we call it live. All right, and how do other people get involved? And you've thrown that challenge out now, and I got to drag my foot out of my mouth. So beyond that, how do the people that are watching this feed get involved?
So we are going to put something up on Niagara 411,
right.
And we have a great little poster that Amy from Niagara's Mobile Closet has created. And we are going to put that on Niagara 411. We are also going to attach it to Sandra's Home Healthcare Services page. We are also going to attach it to Niagara's Mobile Closet page.
Okay.
So we will have it on all of the websites.
Okay, and it'll be kind of a special show for us here as well, because, June the 16th is a Thursday, and we're going to be doing our Niagara 411 live, of course, in conjunction with this event, so it should be kind of fun. It'll be a little bit crazy, a little bit sort of ad hoc, off the cuff, and, well, live, as they say. So anything might happen. I wanted to just shine a light a little bit and thank Len, you and your organization, as well as Sandra, and the work that you do with Kiwanis, is one of the things that you see when you enter any community, and this is pretty much Canada-wide, is you see the sign, welcome to, whether it's Niagara Falls, Fort Erie, whatever it is, and there's always a sign, there's always sort of a billboard, and it has the logos of the service clubs, the organizations that serve those communities. And oftentimes we drive by those things and we pay no attention to them, we take them for granted. But organizations like Kiwanis and other service clubs in Niagara, we should certainly, and anywhere else for that matter, should certainly not take for granted. You people do fabulous, selfless work, and I congratulate you, and I hope people really pay attention to the work that you folks do.
I would love to thank you guys. Niagara 411 has, as soon as I called, I made the call, let you guys know what I was doing. You guys were more than happy to jump on board. So thank you to Niagara's 411 from the bottom of our hearts. And also thank you to Dave from Fiddlers for always opening up his place of businesses every time I have a fundraiser. Thank you, Dave.
Yeah, you're welcome. Throw the mic back to Len for a sec. Len, how many members in your organization?
In our St. Catharines Club, there's 53 members that have been active, and they range everywhere from 38 years of age all the way up to 84 years of age. And everybody's very active.
I was going to, and that's wonderful to hear that you've got that wide range of demographics, because over the years in the different communities I've lived, I've been involved with a number of service clubs in my time, and one of the challenges for clubs like Kiwanis is always that renewable, or sometimes hard to be renewable resource, and that is people and volunteers to be members, and especially of the younger demographics. It's always a challenge because, well, life changes. Life is different. It's more complicated. We've got the social medias, and there's so many different areas, and almost everybody is trying to raise a buck for some worthy cause. And all the causes are worthy as well. So it's a challenge for organizations like yours. So kudos to the younger people that are joining. And if somebody wants to reach out, find more about Kiwanis, what its mandate is, how they might help you folks now and in the future, how do they do that?
Well, you can start on our website if you want to, Kiwanis St. Catharines. Just contact us, and we'll make sure that somebody gets back to you.
Okay.
We can help. There's also, for your listeners throughout the region, there's a club in Niagara Falls, a club in Welland, and there's a club in Smithville,
Okay.
West Lincoln. And we all work in unison when there's a project to be done. Like we had the community care project. We all raised money together on that for the food drive. We've given, last time I think it was 14 tons of food. We've been doing that for about 12, 14 years. So every year we do that. So that's part of it. We've got together with the Children's Center and help there. We've also put money into, all kinds of things. You're probably familiar with the Aquatic Center.
Yes,
and hockey.
Oh, absolutely. I swim there.
Hockey, we've got over 500 people involved there, and all volunteers. One thing I will say that we don't get paid, but we get paid in kindness and smiles.
You'll get paid in the hereafter, my friend.
I hope so.
Okay.
The Niagara Mobile Closet, ask about that.
Yeah. We just did. We just asked to tell us about the Niagara Mobile Closet. What is it? How does it work?
I am going to say that Amy and a couple of the other volunteers from Niagara's Mobile Closet would be happy to come on to speak on further dates about Niagara's Mobile Closet. I did have an experience, and I do want to share it if we have a moment.
Yeah, you do.
When I was asked to go look at different places for Kiwanis, I looked up Niagara's Mobile Closet, and I wanted to dig into them a little bit more. And what I did was I went out to all of their events. I went out along with other Kiwanis members. We went out and we went into their truck and we handed out meals. The truck goes and picks them up from Silver Spire Church. The meals are prepared there. We bring them on the truck and we give them out in different locations throughout the evening. Kiwanis happened to give them out our downtown core. I also went to their shopping experience. This actually broke my heart to see how many people were actually at that experience. It pulled on my heartstrings even more to see what Niagara's Mobile Closet does to ensure the dignity and respect of these people. This is why I jumped aboard quite quickly. Their compassion, their personability was so heartwarming. They knew them all by name. They relied on them. They take them through an experience of shopping that they pay nothing for. They may take as many items as they would like.
Really? Okay.
It was so real. It was so genuine, and it was so heartwarming. It was heartwarming. So it was nice to see. That's why I jumped aboard this charity. I firsthand saw what they do and how they do it.
And to update folks, in the interest of transparency here, this was a post from Niagara's Mobile Closet in St. Catharines. As heartwarming as Sandra was, it was heartbreaking that they found their truck, Mo, broken into last night. It's an unfortunate situation to the many donors who took the time and effort to provide donations to help others and to their hardworking volunteers. It's hard to tell what clothing was taken, but the majority of the hygiene products, men's, ladies' underwear, were taken along with the backpacks, our most highly coveted items. It's our hope that whoever did this will share freely as we do. Next time, just ask, and we can save you the time of breaking in. It's all free. There are some sad and broken people in our society that make bad decisions, and that was obviously one of them. So our condolences to you and Amy and the folks at the center, and hopefully the people that did that will realize the impact and the deeper meaning of what it is that they did. So all the more reason to look on the positive side and get behind the event on the 16th of June here at Fiddler's Poorhouse. And in the meantime, find out more about the Mobile Closet, find out more about Kiwanis, do your own research, realize that you're involved with an organization that is totally above board and without question an organization that you should support. So thanks, Len. Thank you, Sandra. We're going to move on and get ready to close up the program. But thank you, guys. And by the way, before we get out of here, I want to let you know that if you're watching this stream, please share it. All you have to do is click share, and you will automatically be entered in a draw for a half-hour massage from Clover Therapeutic Wellness Center. in Niagara Falls. Very high value. I don't know, half-hour massages go between, depending on where you are, $75 and $100, whatever. I don't exactly know the price point, but it's a very valuable thing. The winner will be drawn at random from all of those people that share this feed, and because we know who you are, and we'll make a draw. So just share this feed, and you have right up until the end of our musical piece to share this feed, because it's live the whole way through, so you can do that. And speaking of our musical piece, before we do that though, let me do this first again, lest I forget. Gales Gaspars, thank you very much for fueling this program. Great local show today. It was super. I'm just pleased with the people that we had on to no end. Gales for supporting us and fueling the program. Performance Heating and Air, Verge Insurance Brokers Limited, Kevin, Jack, Brandon Scram of WeeStreem, and Kevin, our executive producer. Of course, it's always a pleasure working with you guys, and working with you in particular, Kevin.
Back at you, Lee. Great show today.
Yeah, it was. I'm just thrilled with it. Darcy Patrick, thank you for being here. Jim Hill from the Niagara Parks Commission. Check his interview out with us about the Scow if you missed it earlier. Meilleur, Meridian Centre, thank you. Len Bates and Sandra from Kiwanis Club, thank you for being here. Road Warriors.
Road Waves.
Coming up.
Road Waves, Road Warriors. That was an old wrestling duo, I think. I think they were like tag
Road
team.
Waves. Why did I say Road Warriors?
I think maybe that's what it is. The WWE got in your brain. I think
It
they were an old,
did. The
old
Road
tag
Warriors.
team.
Yeah.
Lee, before we drop out today, want to wish a happy birthday to John Paul. We got a request from right here inside Fiddlers. And now as
John Paul, happy birthday.
As the sun is shining and we're kind of getting back to normal living,
Yeah.
more and more people are coming to watch the show live, and I encourage you to do it. We're live here noon until 1:30.
We have a rogues
every
gallery of
Thursday.
chairs over here. You can sit in and have and watch the show and have a cocktail. Road Waves coming up to play us off the stage of Niagara 411 Live with Sterry. This is their newer video. It's called Hometown. And thanks for being here, everybody. Enjoy your weekend when it gets here. Bye.